The biggest mistake keeping talented professionals from becoming leaders has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with how many degrees you have or how many hours you work. And almost everyone is making it. After 20 years managing multi-million-dollar engineering assets in aerospace, oil and gas, and construction, I learned something that changed everything about how I view leadership. Great leaders are not defined by intelligence alone. They are defined by ownership, responsibility, integrity, communication, and serving others. And here's the part nobody tells you early enough. Promotion follows consistent excellence, not titles. Welcome, I'm Donaldson, and today I want to share the single biggest lesson I've learned about what separates professionals who lead from professionals who stay stuck. I spent 15 years watching brilliant engineers get passed over for leadership, not because they weren't smart enough, because they thought being smart was enough. These were the people who could solve the hardest problems. They knew every specification. They could walk into a room and identify exactly what was wrong with a design, a process, or a plan in under 60 seconds. And none of that got them promoted. What they missed was this. Technical excellence earns you a seat at the table, but it does not earn you the right to lead the table. Think about that for a moment. How many talented professionals do you know who are absolutely brilliant at what they do, but nobody wants to follow them? They're respected, they're consulted, but they're never chosen to lead. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern, and it reveals something most people never figure out about leadership. Real leadership, the kind that lasts decades and builds legacies, is built on three things, and none of them is IQ. Number one, ownership. Ownership means the buck stops with you, not your team's failures. Your responsibility for how those failures are handled. When something goes wrong, and in engineering and business, something always goes wrong, leaders who own it don't look for someone else to blame. They don't point fingers. They don't hide behind process. They step forward and say, "This happened on my watch. Here's what I missed. Here's how we fix it. Here's what we're changing so it never happens again." I've seen junior engineers with ownership mentality get promoted faster than 10-year veterans who deflect. Why? Because teams want to follow people who take responsibility. Nobody follows someone who blames everyone else. Number two, integrity. Integrity means your word is your bond. When you say something, people believe you. When you commit to something, you deliver. Not sometimes, every time. Even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. Most professionals think integrity is a moral issue. It is, but it's also a practical business advantage. In global trade, I learned this lesson firsthand. Your network is your net worth. And your net worth in any network is directly tied to your integrity. One broken promise and years of trust collapse. One missed deadline without honest communication, and your reputation takes a hit you can't measure. But consistent integrity over time, that compounds. That builds a reputation that opens doors before you even knock. Number three, communication. Communication means you can take complex ideas and make them clear. You listen more than you talk. You ask better questions than you give answers. Most talented professionals are poor communicators. Not because they can't speak, because they're so deep in the technical side that they forget leadership is about moving people, not just information. You can be the smartest engineer in the room, but if you can't explain why something matters to people who aren't engineers, you can't lead them. Leaders communicate vision. They translate complexity. They inspire action. And here's what I want you to notice about these three pillars: ownership, integrity, communication. None of them require a higher IQ. None of them require another degree. None of them require permission from anyone above you. You can start practicing all three of them tomorrow morning. Now here's where most talented professionals get it wrong about promotion. They think promotion is about performance in their current role. It's not. Promotion is about demonstrated readiness for the next role. This is subtle, but it changes everything. People become excellent at their job. They optimize. They perfect. They become indispensable in their current position. And then they wonder why they don't get promoted. Here's the hard truth. You don't get promoted because you're great at what you do. You get promoted because someone sees you handling a bigger responsibility than your current title requires. That means you have to start acting like a leader before you have the title. Stop only focusing on your own deliverables. Start focusing on how your team is developing. Stop protecting your territory. Start building your successor. Stop hoarding knowledge. Start teaching it. Stop defending your ideas. Start asking for input. The engineers who survived every industry shift I've witnessed were not the smartest ones in the room. They were the ones who adapted fastest. They took initiative. They solved problems nobody asked them to solve. They made other people better. And that's what real leadership looks like. It's proactive, not reactive. It's about what you give, not what you get. And this is where I want to share something deeper, something that has anchored my entire career. In Luke chapter 16, verse 10, Jesus said these words, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." That principle is not just spiritual wisdom, it is a law of leadership. If you cannot be trusted with a small project, why would anyone give you a large one? If you cannot be trusted with one team member, why would anyone give you a department? If you cannot be trusted to keep your word on something small, why would anyone trust you with something big? Faith, character, discipline, and excellence. These are not separate from leadership. They are the foundation of leadership. When I look back over 20 years in aerospace, oil and gas, construction, and global trade, the leaders I respected most were not always the most brilliant. They were the most consistent. They were the ones who showed up with integrity when nobody was watching. They were the ones who served their teams instead of demanding to be served. That's the leadership that lasts. That's the leadership that builds a legacy. So here's my challenge to you. If you're a talented professional wondering why you haven't been promoted, stop asking what's wrong with your company. Start asking what you need to develop in yourself. Start practicing ownership today. When something goes wrong, be the first to take responsibility, not the first to explain why it wasn't your fault. Start building integrity daily. Under-promise and over-deliver. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Start communicating better. Spend more time listening than talking. Learn to translate complexity into clarity. And most importantly, start serving. Look for ways to make the people around you better, not because someone told you to, because that's what leaders do. Don't build relationships transactionally. Build them genuinely. Invest in people. Because in leadership, in business, in engineering, and in life, your network is your net worth. But only if that network is built on trust. Promotion doesn't start with a title. It starts with character. It starts with the small things, the things nobody sees, the things nobody rewards, the things that prove you can be trusted with very little so that one day you can be trusted with much. The biggest mistake keeping talented professionals from becoming leaders has nothing to do with intelligence. It has to do with character, ownership, integrity, communication, and a heart to serve others. Fix that mistake and everything changes. If this message encouraged you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, and share it with someone who wants to become a better leader. Follow Eric Donaldson for practical leadership, engineering excellence, business insights, operational excellence, and biblical wisdom that will help you grow personally and professionally. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.